Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
One. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am thrilled to have you join us today. We've dedicated this podcast to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a servant's heart, to develop purpose, to truly make a difference. And don't you all want to make a difference in your work and your lives? And you can definitely do it. And my today's guest is going to talk more about that from the mind, because you know what? A servant's heart's all in the mind. Anybody can do it. But I have a big old noggin. Big old noggin kind of gets in the way. We also created the show to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you. So if you want to learn some things, take a pad and paper out or a digital device and start taking notes, because you could take something today from my incredible guest and make an impact in your world. Who wouldn't want to do that? I know I will, and I try to do it every day. But also think about how you can serve yourself and serve others today and what impact you create today. As I always say, don't wait to create that impact to serve. Start today and just build on that, keep serving every day. And I want to thank my incredible sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries. Together, they're building a community of thought leaders to impact and change the world. For more information on that, just reach out to me and I'll get you all the information. With that being said, mindset, we've talked about a little bit on this show, but my guest has a unique way. I'm excited. She doesn't know I've done this, delved into this, but our mind is complex, but she makes it simple. I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll start there. Kim, welcome to this incredible show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be on this incredible show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I like to start frame of mind coaching. I love that name, because if we don't frame our mindset, we're not going to be successful, bottom line. How'd that start, and what's the whole mission behind it?
Basically, we've been coaching leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, what we call the highly driven population, for the past 20 years. And the history is that I've always studied, I've always been involved and interacted with leadership and highly successful individuals. And my work history led me here, but that was a long time ago. In essence, we've been coaching leaders for a while, and what we're interested in is the relationship between the way they think and the outcomes they're getting in their lives. And we have a process that we use that allows us to access that very efficiently and very effectively.
How's the bridge between mindset and leadership work?
Oh, it's direct. It's 100% direct. The way we think will impact what we do and what we don't do, and how we do what we do. And so every single person you see who's successful out there, every single leader that's out there, that accomplishment is a function of their thinking. So there's a direct relationship between the way a person thinks and the leadership that they espouse or that they take on. So it's 100%. It's a straight line, actually.
Yeah, perfect. And I love straight bridges. Easier to walk. I don't like it on hills. So straight bridge is great. Let's dive deeper, because one of the things that leaders that I talk to are people that want to be leaders, decision making.
Yeah.
It'd be a really fault with a leader. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a way that we help people make decisions, and we have a strategy that we help them use, and we use an acronym called HEAL, HEAL, HEAL. So is it healthy? Is this decision healthy for me? Will it make me feel good? Will it energize me, or will it drain me? Right? So is it healthy for me? Is it good for me? Number two is it encouraging? Is it like, does it fuel me in any way, right? Like, does it excite me? Does it give me the energy that I'm looking for it to give me? And number three is it aligned with my values? So A for aligned with my values, and L for does it lead to an outcome I'm seeking or a desire that I want? So those are the four things. But when we line up our decisions against those four criteria, making sure that not one of them is missing. So you can't miss out one in order to make it a yes. If you miss out one, what you'll find is you'll make a decision, and then down the road, it won't be a decision you'll be able to sustain.
So it sounds like a recipe to me. If you forget the flour in a recipe, it might be a major component. Your meal is not going to taste as good or probably be bad. Is it same thought process?
Well, it's that many people make a decision that is just okay, but not ideal,
Yeah.
because they don't consider the impact of those decisions from a long-term perspective. And so when we look at, will this decision be good for me in the long term? We want to make sure all those boxes are checked off.
Yeah. You're super smart. So I'm going to ask this question because this is the other side of it. Indecision. It is, I tell people, COVID was nothing compared to indecision across the board. How do you guys handle indecision with leaders?
Well, what you're talking about is paralysis. And the question is, where does paralysis come from? Paralysis comes from a set of beliefs that say, like, if I make a decision, something bad will happen if I take action. And so paralysis comes from fear of a negative outcome. So how do we deal with it? First of all, we identify what that fear is. We really find it, we shine a light on it, and then we explore it very deeply, and we challenge some of those fears. So one of the things we do when we coach individuals is we ask them to journal in a private and secure online journal with their coach every single day. So imagine I am coaching you and you're journaling and you're sharing some of your deepest, most private thoughts. And within those thoughts, I am enabled to start picking up your patterns of behavior, patterns of thought, but fundamentally some of the beliefs that you have that cause that paralysis. Yeah. And part of the issue of paralysis is a level of unawareness or a blindness about what is creating the paralysis. So when we're able to find it and see it, then and only then can we say, okay, here's what it is, here's what it looks like. Let's dig into it a little deeper, but more importantly, let's perhaps trade it in for something a little more useful. Let's loosen it up, because right now you have a very tight grip on this belief that creates the paralysis. Let's loosen up your grip so we can allow perhaps different possibilities to step in. Yeah. Right?
Yep. And it's what I'm hearing, and I love, it's so hard to do on your own. You've probably heard it. I know I've heard it. Oh, I understand what Kim's saying, but let me work on it on my own. Most of the time, they're not going to be successful, are they?
Well, you know what? Like, a lot of people make a lot of progress when they journal, but when they journal and someone is reading their journals, and that person has the ability to see clearly what's laid out in front of them and to pick out those patterns, their progress is multiplied. Like, the speed is augmented so shockingly, right? Like, it's just so impactful. It's wild, actually.
Yeah, it sounds wild, because knowledge is powerful. What you don't know, you don't know. You're not going to be able to do anything. You have the journal engine, which is part of what you were talking about, software that you develop, which I'm so fired up that you did. I love people that build their own IP. Talk about how that works, and you talked a little bit before, but delve deeper into that, what that does, that software.
Yeah, so like from the very beginning, when I started coaching individuals, I wanted them to journal with me so that I could see what they were thinking about, see what they were struggling with, see what their day-to-day lives were like, see what they kept talking about and kept complaining about. Like, I just wanted to see what was going on inside their minds. So from the very, very beginning, I asked people to journal. The problem is that 20 years ago, there wasn't a private and secure online journaling software. There was Blogger. And so in the beginning, I used that. And I had a very terrible experience where I was coaching a gentleman, and his wife hacked into his Blogger and read what he had to say, and it was terrible.
Oh my God.
Disaster. I thought my career was over. And in that moment, and like go back now 19 years, that's about right. I said, okay, I need to create a software program that has bank level security. And I'm not a programmer myself, but I hired all the right players and all the right people. And I created a piece of software that would do what I needed it to do, which was fundamentally deliver, let's call it journaling prompts on a regular basis, and provide a system where I could interact with my clients so that they felt safe, they felt secure, that their thoughts were private. But then also, if I wanted to coach a group of people, I could do that as well. And so it's there, it's very dynamic, it's super easy to use. We license it out to other coaches and speakers and trainers, but really I just use it for myself. I use it with my clients.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you shouted out, because there are coaches that listen to this. Hey, we'll get her contact information out there and do it, because I know a lot of coaches that do journaling, but it's side journaling. It gets lost. Hey, where's the paperwork? Where's the notebook? I'm reading your mind right now. You're like, yeah, that's the problem. Where it's one location and you have access and they have access.
It's one, yeah, it's one location. You have access, they have access. It's organized. It's easy to find what you're looking for. It's trackable. It's easy to have a conversation that's not confusing or muddled. And it's extremely impactful. And that's part of the thing that we want to deliver is high impact coaching.
Yeah, and it's funny. You ask somebody, hey, what'd you have for dinner on Monday? Today is Tuesday, or today's Tuesday. Yes. Let's say, so what'd you have for dinner? And people won't remember. That's why you're journaling, right? So people right away, something happened. Hey, this happened in my business. My vice president made these decisions. And that's the whole idea of this, right?
I love that. Can I steal that? What'd you have for dinner last night?
Oh,
I'm using that.
Please do, because I hear coaches, people ask, and they ask me, I'm like, I can't even think of it right now. That's why I love what you're doing with your coaching, because you take this great tool that's really going to enhance their leadership. Chaos.
Yeah. And it's also what you're alluding to, which is really important, is it's just in time. So when things come up, we are addressing them in the moment. We're not waiting like a week or 2 weeks for them to think back to the big thing that happened, right? So we're providing value in the moment as it's occurring. We're right there by their side every single day. Every time that the client journals, the coach is on the other end reading and responding to the journal. So that's happening every single day. So you can imagine how intense it is, but also how intimate it becomes, right? So the relationship between coach and client becomes very, very tight. And my premise is that I believe that the relationship is crucial for the client to be able to move a far distance. And so there's all these elements that are really important. I also feel that in order for me to be able to coach effectively, I really need to get to know my client backwards, forwards, and inside out. So many coaches try to coach you without really having the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, hey, I've got this certification, and nothing against coaches out there. There's bad realtors, bad chiropractors. I mean, we're not saying across the board, but there are outliers. We'll just use that word to be very kind.
Yeah.
I love female leaders like you. I told people I would hire 10 female leaders, 10 board directors, because the mom aspect of it. What have you learned as a mom? Because moms are incredible leaders to me, because it's so emotional. It's your children. If you could do that, you could walk in with a bunch of crazy dudes that are selling something and go, hey, you're nothing like my 5-year-old kid. I can, type of thing. What have you learned as a mom to help you project to other people?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I have 5 kids, and I didn't give birth to all 5 kids. So 3 of them are step kids. So I think about it as, the step up mom, the step aside mom, the step over mom, the step mom. So I've had many, many years of experience with 5 kids in my house. And so I'm very much involved and hands-on. But I really feel strongly that the way you were raised and the way you parent has a huge influence on the way you lead. Massive. There's a direct relationship between those two things. And so what have I learned as a mom? Number one, I actually learned how to coach as a mom, right? So thing number one is whoever you're coaching, assume positive intent. Same thing goes with your children. Assume positive intent. And if you're unable to assume positive intent, do not coach that person. Right. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is that Don't think you know what's going on. You don't always have the whole story, and your job is to get the whole story. So spend time talking to your kids, your employees, get more information from them. Just because your eyes see something doesn't mean you still have the whole story. There's so much more there. So spend the time getting the story. And to be honest, like when you think about your kids and yourself as a leader, figure out, pay close attention to what you're modeling. Are you modeling the behavior that you want your kids and your employees to take on?
Yeah, I didn't expect that answer.
I'll give you
Much.
one more. I'll give you one more. And I think this is super important.
Go for it.
As a parent, as an employee, an employer, it's extremely important to take whoever's in front of you, your child or your employee, and hold them up in the most positive light and be able to show your child or your employee what you see. Even when they can't see it, even when they're down, they're dark, they're, have self-doubt, whatever, hold up that light and hold up a vision of the person in front of you.
Let's flip it now. We have a child or an employee that's the wrong word, but it is challenging for your business.
Yeah.
Do the same thing as a mom. How would they handle that as a mom would handle with a child that's
well, as an employee and as a mom and as an employee, what you want is you want the best for your child and the employee. Right. In the case of your employee, it could be that the best thing is something outside of your business, but you always want the best for them. In the case with your child, you always want the best for your child. And that might mean maybe they change schools, or maybe they, need to move out. It's time. Or maybe, you encourage them to consider that the relationship they're in isn't super healthy. It's not always status quo. And the key is you get behind really, really wanting what's in their best interests, what's good for them.
So the word that's coming to my head is communication. All that you said, that's the big thing in this.
Well, it's funny. I'm going to tell you a really quick story. I had a new client one day, and she came in. She's like, "Oh, I'm really struggling in my relationship with my husband, and this and this and this is going on, and I think we have a communication problem." And I said to her, "You know what? I don't know. You speak English very well. I understand exactly what you've said. I've understood every single word. I don't think you have a communication problem. I think you have a thinking problem." And she stopped in her tracks. She's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I think you're thinking about your relationship in a way that's causing you a lot of pain." And so communication follows thought. So for example, go back to kids. If a lot of parents think that the greatest crime a child can commit is if they lie, right? Oh, I can handle it if you do something bad, but not if you lie to me. But the question is, why does your kid lie? Your kid lies because they don't want your disapproval and they don't want to be at odds with you. So you've actually created an environment where it's easier to lie. Except the parent blames the kid, right? So the way we think about what our people are doing, our children, our employees, will impact how we react and respond. So if my kid lies, one option is to ground my kid. The other option is to look internally and say, why am I creating an environment where he does not feel safe telling me the truth? Those are two completely different reactions. And what's the difference? The way we think about what's going on.
Think and communicate.
The thinking problem.
No, and I wrote that down. Honest, you write that. Communication follows thought. Don't just split something out and how many times do people say, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that," because what you're saying is they didn't think about it. Oh my God, you nailed it. In your background, I read thought mastery. I love that phrase. Go a little deeper. We got a little bit of time left. Go deeper.
Well, what we're looking at is how people think and how their thinking impacts what they do, what they don't do, and how they do what they do. So how does it work? You have thoughts, and when you think the same thought over and over and over again, it becomes a belief. And once it's a belief, it really fuels your expectations. And when you have an expectation, it determines what you do and what you don't do. So your behaviors. And then once you behave, you get a certain result. And very often when people aren't getting the results that they want, they say, well, I got to do something different. But they don't go back to the beginning of the story. They don't say, I got to think something different. So, you know, the expression, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. You've heard that one before?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I look at it very differently. I think if you always thought, if you always think what you always thought, you'll always get what you always got. And so when you want a different thing, when you want a different results, it's very, very important for you to say, okay, hold on a minute. How have I been thinking about this? And is my thinking serving me? Is my thinking leading me to the outcomes that I really want? Or is my thinking leading me to the outcomes I'm getting that I'm not super happy with? How do I need to think about this differently so that I'm getting the outcomes that I really, really want?
Our brain is one heck of a tool.
One heck of a tool. It's
Holy
the most
moly.
powerful tool.
Yeah. And to
Yeah.
make change like that is huge. Audience, you heard it here. That's $1 million tip right there. Huge, huge. We're coming to the end here. I want to finish with and by the way, this has been incredible. I've got notes here. Hopefully, audience, you've taken notes, and we'll get her contact info here in a second. But I'd like to ask this fun question to get to know you a little bit better. So you've got a reservation at a restaurant for a table of 4. You're obviously going to sit in one of the chairs. And the other 3 chairs, dead or alive, who would you invite? Why would they be invited? And what food would you order?
That's easy. I would invite my husband and my biological children. My son is a chef, so I would let him do the ordering because he's a foodie, and we would just eat everything that's on the menu. Knowing him, he'd order one of everything.
I love it. I want to be there. If he's a chef, I want him cooking for me. It's
Not only that,
fantastic.
he's a chef, and he now is the general manager of one of the first Michelin star restaurants in all of Canada. So definitely he's the guy I'm meeting with.
What's his name?
His name is Louis Cotliar. His last name is different from mine.
Louis, shout out to you. Congrats, because I used to be a chef. So
Oh, really?
I mean, nothing big. I just learned it, but I know that that's so hard to do. It's so powerful. Congratulations, Louis. You made mom proud, I could tell.
Totally.
I love it. So again, you're a servant's heart, using the mind to serve. And audience, everything she's taught today will make you a better servant, which will lead you to more things and lead you to abundance and all that. So how can people, they're listening today, find you, support you, and connect with you?
Yeah, I'm easy to find. Go to frameofmindcoaching.com. And we have all kinds of things there, blogs. I've been on podcasts. You can hear those. You'll hear this one because we'll post it up there. Testimonials, the whole thing. But on that website, on frameofmindcoaching.com, is something very interesting. There are 10 very, very powerful journaling prompts. And as you can see, I'm a huge fan of journaling, but a very important component of journaling is making sure you're answering the right questions. So those journaling prompts will give you some things to think about, will allow you to really do some deep diving, self-reflecting. So frameofmindcoaching.com, get your 10 powerful journaling prompts.
Yeah, and AI prompts are everywhere now. So we should all know what prompting is, and that's good that you've done that to make it easy. And I don't usually ask this, but you're so knowledgeable, Kim. What's a tip you want to give the audience that's listening? I want to be a better leader or be a leader.
Yeah, I think the most important tip is that when you're frustrated with your life and you're thinking about what you want to do differently, before you take action, slow down and ask yourself, how am I thinking about this that's causing me to feel stuck, stressed, frustrated, whatever? How am I thinking about this? And literally pick up a piece of paper and a pen or your Word document and start journaling. And answer that question. How am I thinking about this? And more specifically, what do I believe to be true about this person, problem, situation? What do I believe to be true?
That's a $2 million tip. So she just gave us $3 million on
Wow.
a podcast. It's one of the best podcasts ever. Well, thank you so much, Kim. This has been incredible. I appreciate you so much. And audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I say this all the time, but I have a different take on it. Subscribers are great and all that, but you have access to Kim going back to it. Sometimes it's hard to find a podcast if you're not subscribed. So, and it's free, subscribe to it. But more importantly, if you're listening, you're going, God, my cousin, he needs better leadership. God, he's got a great company. You can now access Kim and send it to him. What a great service. They can watch this podcast and learn more about leadership, but learn about Kim and her passion. bleeds out of her the passion to help people be better leaders. And you're going to feel that. And as they say, and John Milo says, you're going to work with people that I forget the phrase, but it's important that we like the person that we're working with and we enjoy being around them. And, that's important. The other last thing is comment on the YouTube channel. Me and Kim want this to be the best podcast because it's for you guys, you girls. So there's a critique for the podcast or a comment for Kim. I'll make sure she gets it if she doesn't have access to it so she can respond and be available, and reach out to her team. If you have any questions at all, please do that because I know she's going to change your life. With that being said, me and Kim want to thank you so much for watching and listening to our podcast. We'll see you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.